Yes! Oh, it is. It is. Get a little hoarse. It is Donno Daily here on a Thursday on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Hello and welcome into everyone who's watching us live. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube, and make sure you take advantage of the live chat feature. We love to read listener comments and questions, viewer comments and questions, I should say, throughout the show. We'll flash some of the best ones on the screen. Also, the super chat is open. Donations are welcomed. Hit up that tip jar if you have a chance. We're going to have a stacked show today, guys. So much material from the Dolphins open practices with the Atlanta Falcons this week. Day 1, of course, in the books from yesterday. Day 2 at the practice facility in Miami Gardens is in progress today. An injury update we'll get to in a moment. We also have plenty of Miami Heat to get to. Our very good friend Allana Tachauer, who just celebrated a birthday yesterday, is going to join us in about 14 minutes. So make sure you guys are ready to wish a happy birthday to Allana Tachauer. And we are going to go live later on to Sin City, because J-Rod from 5 Reasons to Bet is out live in Vegas to take in Pacquiao versus Ugas this weekend. We'll get a betting tip for him on that fight. We have some other local sports matters to discuss with him. But guys, make sure you remember this and every episode of Donno Daily is proudly presented by BetUS.com. BetUS is the official sports book of this show. Life is back on, sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines, and those are coming up for their 27th year, and live betting on all of it. Log on to betus.com or call 1-800-792-3887 for a 125% bonus if you sign up with our code. You see our code there on the graphic. For those listening, I'll spell it out for you. If you make your deposit with our code 5RSN125, you get a 125% sign-up bonus. When I signed up a couple of weeks ago, I made a deposit of $150. I used the promo code 5RSN125, and instantly I had $187.50 of free play money on top of my $150 deposit. It is a beautiful thing. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry, America's favorite sports book, BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. My friends, we are served by the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. Oh, I love this spot. The freshest seafood on planet Earth, like the oysters, the Maine lobsters, the sushi. I love the buffalo shrimp. It's such a great appetizer. I get it extra spicy because I'm a man's man. They offer at the Quarterdeck 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. It never ends. Make the Quarterdeck your spot to watch every UFC pay-per-view fight because they have them all with zero cover charge. You pay nothing at the door. Peep their menu and find the location nearest to you by visiting their website, quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. Let's welcome in our wonderful producer. We have two of them. We have Manny Chang and Sean Stanley. Let's welcome in Sean Stanley, who is in the man cave, a.k.a. the closet. He's got the Don Shula football prominently displayed. You've been practicing that point, haven't you? Because for people who don't use this StreamYard thing, it's like a mirror image. So if you think you're pointing one direction, you're pointing the other direction. So he's been practicing this for weeks. But Sean, good afternoon, sir. How you doing?
I am doing great. And actually now I'm starting to slow motion. So if I don't see the finger coming up on the right side, as you see there, now I'm good. It's all about practicing. It's all about practice.
Welcome in on the live chat to our buddy Jesse Lockhart. Guys, before we dive headfirst into some football, I want to dive into a little bit of football, okay? Not to toot my own horn, but I felt last night as if I was a bit of a good luck charm for Inter Miami. I proudly announced on the show before we signed off yesterday that even though a lot over the last couple of months, especially during that 6-game losing streak they had, I had made a habit of betting against La Rosa Negra. I bet on Inter Miami last night, and they come away with a 3-2 dramatic victory against Chicago Fire, which included coming from down 2-1 and a 93rd minute game winner from Rodolfo Pizarro, of all people, who's been like on the fringes of the team going back to last season. Pizarro got to play the hero. And hello, Ray Grullon as well. Welcome into the chat, sir. He says, howdy, Donno. Glad to see Preston Williams off the pup. We will get to that. He was back in practice today. Tua really needs him. But Sean, last night I was thinking I was the good luck charm for Inter Miami because I bet on them. I have found the real good luck charm, as pointed out in a tweet by Don Cafecito. Look at my guy there. I actually know this guy, which is crazy because when I saw him on the screen, I'm like, dude, it's a small world. So I don't know his real name, right? But he goes by FT Hooligan. And the reason why I know him is he's part of the rare fraternity that I'm in. And Don Cafecito, the guy who tweeted it, is in this fraternity as well, of people who are both Inter Milan and Inter Miami fans. It's a weird cross section, but there's a handful of us. And this guy, FT Hooligan, he's wearing the Inter Milan kit to the Inter Miami game. He's in a sea of pink jerseys. I love that comment. Fans that wear other teams' jerseys should be banned, except for this guy. Yeah, Hooligan was the good luck charm. You see, he's got the majestic beard. I think he's from the Czech Republic. He's got this wonderful sort of Czech Republic type of accent. Oh, it's beautiful. I go out, they support the Inter Miami. Just so great, guys. We have a wonderful time here at Inter Miami. So I just wanted to shout this dude out because I saw him on the screen and I'm like, wait. He's got the Inter Milan jersey on. That dude looks familiar. And I see people like Don Cafecito tweeting out the screenshot, and I realize that's Hooligan. I know that guy. So that is freaking wild, man. What do you mean you didn't know Czechs sound like that? Of course, see, this is how you sound in Czech Republic. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. We have wonderful Pilsner beer. We have Inter Milan, Inter Miami fan. Wonderful time being from Czech Republic. It's very, very good.
He almost sounds like Goron.
You guys will notice that, and unfortunately I may have to retire the Goron impression because Goron, he's no longer with us. He's not dead, but he's in Toronto, possibly in Dallas pretty soon. But yeah, my Goron impersonation, my Sergei Bobrovsky, and my hooligan / Czech impersonation, they sound exactly the same. So I hope I'm not disrespecting people from that part of the world, but I just assume the Russian accent, the Czech accent, and the Slovenian accent, they all sound exactly the same, my friend. There is no difference in some of those various accents. They all, I got to play with my lighting again because I think sometimes I don't know, I just get too shiny. I think when I get worked up and I start to sweat a little bit, I get a little bit shiny.
You went a little orange on us. You're a little orange.
I did go a little bit. So Dolphins joint practice with the Falcons in progress today. There's some good and some bad to break down. We'll start with the bad, and that is on the injury front. If you see it, I think we have the tweet from Barry Jackson that the Dolphins have unfortunately suffered an injury. And yeah, you see Ethan pointed that out yesterday. So every Dolphins receiver we thought might get hurt is already hurt. And we added another one to that list today, Lynn Bowden. I always want to say Bowden, but I think he goes by Bowden. Lynn Bowden, after making a catch, suffered an apparent hamstring issue. And as Barry Jackson points out, looks like a hamstring. I'm no doctor, but I have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. So yeah, so you can add another one, unfortunately, to the injury list. And just yesterday, guys, we had Devontae Parker, Albert Wilson, Will Fuller, and Isaiah Ford from that receiving core all missing practice. Now, as one of our commenters pointed out at the top of the show, Preston Williams is back. He's back in action today. He came off the PUP list, so that is good. So you've had numerous wide receiver injuries. It's a good thing that despite having like 5 or 6 wide receivers injured at any given time, the Dolphins have another 15 on the roster, it seems like. I mean, this team is they're going to have some tough decisions to make, no doubt, by the time they have to cut their roster down to 53. But the Dolphins have such a deep, on paper, receiving core, but we've had so many guys come up with injuries. And it's been one of the big talking points over these last couple of weeks because at any given practice day, there's no Devontae Parker, no Albert Wilson, no Will Fuller. And Will Fuller wouldn't be able to play the first game of the season anyway because he's still got one game of a PED suspension that's carrying over to this year, but you'd still like him to be able to get as many practice reps as possible. Tua was asked about this yesterday, because there's a lot of disruption in the receiving core, right? When you talk about building chemistry in practices and preseason games, when he's unable day to day to get reps with some of the usual guys that you would expect to be his guys during the regular season. Tua Tagovailoa, I want this guy to be my therapist or my life coach because he's so optimistic and so positive at all times. Everyone needs a friend like Tua, because if all your friends are super negative, Debbie Downer type of folks that always have the rain cloud over their head following around, it's going to make you miserable. Like, we all need friends like Tua who's going to tell us everything's going to be all right, man, and is always going to make you feel as optimistic as possible. So Tua was asked about, the concern of so many of his receivers having to miss reps with, and most of these, by the way, I'll note, are minor injuries. Like, we're not talking about major injuries, minor injuries. And Tua said, quote, "I don't think it's a concern. For me," he said, "I think the most important thing for them is their health and making sure that they're right, because if they're not healthy, then it's going to be a concern. We won't have any of those guys to come out and play with. It gives a lot of opportunity to the other guys," he said. So basically, Tua is saying, I'm okay with, veterans like Parker and Fuller missing some reps now during training camp, if that's the cost of doing business to getting them healthy for the regular season, right? Because those guys who are not seriously injured, mind you, they don't need the practice reps as badly as the Jalen Waddles and the Mac Hollinses of the world. And Mac Hollins has been bawling, freaking out, by the way. I love that dude. Mac Hollins is one of the dogs on that team. But I think it's a fair point by Tua that some of these veterans who are missing time in preseason, as long as their injuries are not serious, and they're not, it's okay to be without them for some of these practice reps if that's what it takes to make sure they're healthy once the season begins. Tua continued, "For me to get to work with them and for them to also experience the different looks, the coverages, whereas a lot of the veterans who are injured, they've seen a lot of that," he said. "We're all still in the same room. We're still in the same meetings, communicating and talking through that. I don't think it's a concern at all," said Tua. A couple of notes from practices yesterday and today. I'll reiterate, bad today. Lynn Bowden limped off the field after an apparent hamstring injury today. That was unfortunate. A guy who's balling these last couple days in practice? Eric Rowe. Eric Rowe has been locking down Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, the guy that almost every Dolphin fan, myself included, wanted to draft in the first round. And I think he's going to have a great career, folks. Don't get me wrong. The tight end out of Florida, who's incredible. Eric Rowe has made it his life's mission to make Kyle Pitts' life miserable for these last couple of days. He locked him down yesterday, and then starting off today, as was noted by Safed Dean, he caused Pitts to have an 0-for-3 start. Couldn't get any catches whatsoever because Rowe was on Pitts like a blanket. So he's doing really well. And Rowe talked yesterday about how, he thinks Pitts is going to be really good. Like, he sees the athleticism, he sees the route running, the speed, all that good stuff, that he's going to be a really good player. And he looks forward to seeing him in the regular season because the Dolphins are going to go up against the Falcons October 24th in the regular season. And Rowe is also looking forward to a rematch with the Raiders because Waller, burned the Dolphins on paper last year for over 100 yards receiving, even though Rowe did pretty well. But he's looking forward to a rematch against the Raiders. He's looking forward to taking on Kyle Pitts this coming regular season. So that's going to be good. Jalen Waddle, he's gone viral a couple of times. He's breaking ankles of defensive backs in one-on-one drills. He's got a lot of moves. We know he has a lot of speed, but he looks really sharp out there as well. And something I take a lot of comfort in, and kudos to the guys on our Dolphins coverage last night on 5 Reasons. I was watching the live video feed with Michael Christian, Juan Cardona, and Kai Chen Chisholm. They had a really, really good show last night, and they talked a little bit about Austin Jackson. Guys, when I bring up the bad, I like to contrast it with the good. He was embarrassing in the preseason game Saturday against the Bears. He's looked significantly better in these practices against the Falcons. So hopefully that was a swift kick in the ass that Austin Jackson, the starting left tackle, needed to bounce back and do better coming up in the future, because he's heading into his second year. a lot of the excuses he had in his first year, you start throwing that out the window. We can probably say some of the same things about Tua Tagovailoa, but Austin Jackson is assigned with protecting our quarterback, even if the left side is not the blind side for Tua. It's a very important job being the starting left tackle of any NFL team. So we need Jackson to be better. All right, let's go out to the guest line. Want to talk some Miami Heat, but more importantly, want to wish a very happy belated birthday to Allana Tachauer. It was her birthday yesterday. Allana, I know you were feeling the love because I saw a lot of folks wishing you happy birthday on social media. So very happy belated to you. And I know birthdays in a pandemic are not ideal. So I hope you were able to have some sort of fun yesterday. I hope it was a good one.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I had a really good day. I felt super loved, and the celebrations are continuing throughout the week and into the weekend in Leo fashion. So even though I didn't really go hard yesterday, it's coming up. So I appreciate that.
Now, I know next to nothing about astrology. So what are some of like the Leo traits? Like when you say in typical Leo fashion, like what would that mean as far as your celebrations go?
We really like to go big or go home. And it's funny because everyone thinks we like being the center of attention. I'm actually not like that. It just so happens that like I find myself in these situations where I'm just like this tornado and everything is spiraling around me. But we're pretty bold. We're pretty outspoken. So birthdays are always a good time.
That is really good. Allana Tachauer joins us here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. You know, Allana, something I want your take on. I see this this tweet, and I sent it to Manny. I think you can flash this on the screen with futures odds, NBA MVP betting odds. And obviously, I'm not necessarily expecting a Heat player to win this, but the most likely Heat player to win this award, of course, would be Jimmy Butler. And he's actually pretty low on this list, Allana. Jimmy Butler has 66-1 odds. He's about, I don't know, somewhere between 20th to 25th on this list. But I found it curious that one of the guys ahead of him with better MVP odds is Kawhi Leonard, who's going to miss like a big chunk of the season coming up. So it's like, how's he going to win the MVP before Jimmy wins it? So I think about Jimmy getting disrespected with these MVP odds. I think about the Miami Heat not getting a Christmas Day game, and they're using this lame-ass excuse about a first-round exit when other teams who were bounced in the first round are playing on Christmas Day. Are the Miami Heat getting slept on?
Yeah, and I don't think that's anything new. I think, it's been this way historically, and then I think fans kind of got used to the Big Three era where we were the top of the top. But I expect this much, unfortunately. I think individually, player-wise, when people don't watch the Heat, they don't really know what's up. I think that people really overlook a lot of what Jimmy's able to do. The fact that Kawhi is ahead of him is a joke to me. People just kind of go by like brand name recognition at this point. And the Christmas Day thing, it's very interesting to me that they would even try and use that excuse because there's literally evidence right in front of our faces that that's not true. Like that just doesn't hold up. So I feel like at least if we're going to be left out, come up with a better excuse. But I mean, honestly, I feel like that's what drives the team. I think fans are kind of used to it. And we are, in a sense, still the underdogs, and we perform with this underdog mentality. We might have made it to the finals in the bubbles, but that was the asterisk year, right? It was a fluke. No one really cared. So I don't know. I think it's just like better fuel for us, better motivation. I'm sure the guys thrive off it. I think fans kind of like being the forgotten ones in a sense. It sucks, but it is what it is. And we better just hang on because I don't think it's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, and the Heat had an exciting offseason as well. I mean, let's not have the NBA pretend that the Heat are a really boring team or something, because Kyle Lowry was a really big addition. And listen, I know that Heat fans get their standards really high because of some of the moves Riley has made over, the last 20 years, the whales that he's been able to harpoon. So I'll ask you, Allana, this offseason, so far, and the big moves have already been made, of course. Has this met your expectations? Because I know a couple of years ago, we were all talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, who ends up, staying put. And, the name Kawhi Leonard has been thrown around at times. James Harden was thrown around, last year in a potential trade. So at the end of it, when the dust settles and the Heat make a handful of, I think, really good moves, with the biggest of those being Kyle Lowry, did this free agent period so far, has it met or maybe even exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, I think it's met them. I'm not someone who places these unrealistic expectations on the team. I think, and I've been saying this on the pod with Michael a lot, people just need to curb their expectations a little bit. I think a lot of what honestly happened with Tyler Hero is that people just wanted him to be way better, way quicker than it was realistic. But for me, I mean, I'm happy. We got Lowry, which sure we all thought was coming, but there was always a chance that something would go wrong. So we locked that down. I think bringing on PJ Tucker and, Markieff Morris are huge additions, not necessarily even for the X's and O's, but in terms of really solidifying the identity of this team. For me, I feel like that's kind of what's been lacking these last few years. We're in this weird transition period of, obviously we're in the Bam and Jimmy, kind of era here, but there wasn't like an identity being formed. It was kind of muddled through. There were guys coming in and out. I think losing Jay Crowder was a huge part of that, where, everything that he brought in terms of intensity kind of went away. And so I'm happy with what we've done. I keep saying this. I don't think this team is done. I think that the trade deadline is something that people should keep an eye on. But I don't really know what else you could have wanted from us. I think, Kawhi was never coming here. Beal, for whatever reason, is locked into Washington and is continuing to just stay true there. And I know the Dame chatter started a little, and I would love that to happen, but at a certain point, you need to be realistic with what we can do. And I don't know. I think Riley did the best he could, and I think there's more to come. And I think it's going to be a good season.
You get me excited when you bring up trade deadline chatter. Is there anyone on your radar, or how big of a move do you think Riley might make before the deadline?
No, I don't have anyone on my radar per se, but I do think that it's going to kind of depend on, where he sees Void still at. I know Michael has been saying this, but I honestly do think Depot is kind of an X factor in a way, because depending on first of all, how he comes back in the form in which he is, but also kind of the way he's playing with these guys and, where he fits into the lineup and the rotation. I think that's going to be a huge determining factor to see kind of what else we need. I don't think it's going to be some blockbuster trade, and I don't think people should kind of expect that. But I do think that if there are still voids to fill, Riley's going to take care of that before the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. Allana Tachauer is with us here on 5R Live, Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Summer League was a lot of fun. Let me ask you, and I've been running this by a few of the 5R contributors this week, because last week I was focusing so much on the positives, and we'll get to those. I don't consider this guy a positive, even though he did play really well in the Summer League finale. But what do we do with KZ Okpala? Is he going to be able to actually create a serviceable offensive game, or is that experiment going to be over here soon?
I honestly think it would be best for everyone to just move on. I think obviously it'll be better for us because I don't think he's in a playable state right now, but I also think it'd be better for him. He seems like a great kid. He seems like someone who's really, trying to be committed to the process, but sometimes the environment just doesn't work. I don't know if it's because he kind of came in at a strange time in the league when he wasn't able to develop the way maybe someone else could have. I think a lot of it honestly is a mental block at this point. He has the raw potential. He's just not getting there. And I think, to your point, the Summer League really showed his frustrations. He was trying to do way too much. And every time it wasn't working, instead of kind of trying to adjusting and maybe falling back and maybe being more of a facilitator, he just tried even harder. Adam, get out of here. Adam wants to hold on to him because he thinks he'll be good for an asset or a trade later on, which I can understand that point of view. I'm ready to move on. I think he's just taking up space at this point. And honestly, we need guys that we can rely on right now. We are on Jimmy's timeline and we're trying to do something in the here and now. So if there's a way to get rid of him, I would. It's nothing against him. I think he'll be better off for himself in a different environment. But he was not looking good at all.
Now, speaking of guys being trade chips, I'm super high on Garrett. Yurtsevin, as we all know, man crush big time. And I also have a Max Strus man crush. Should I not be getting too attached to these guys? Because I don't want to fall into the trap that some fans have gotten into with, Tyler Hero. I know Hero's still on the team, but, people get so in love with some of these younger players. Should I be not getting too attached to these guys, Allana? Do you think that these are going to end up being long-term Heat contributors or potentially chess pieces for other moves?
I think that's hard to tell right now. I think it does depend on how they do this upcoming season. Strus definitely was looking good. People keep laughing when I say this, but he beefed up a lot. And I think it's going to be really helpful defensively, as long as obviously it doesn't mess with his shot. The only thing I'll say about Yurt, and I made this point on the pod too, I hope that it's not one of those situations kind of like Tyler where people want so much from him so soon. He looked great, but at the end of the day, Summer League is not the real deal, and he still needs time to develop with the guys that we have currently on the roster. And so I think he's going to be great. I think he was a great pickup. I just want people to kind of slow down and understand that things take time. But I don't know. Strus looks good, and I could really see him sticking around long term. I just don't know if I can say that about Yurt yet.
Ooh, I think I'm so enamored with Yurt, Allana, and I think about the possibilities again, long term more than short term, but the possibilities long term of Yurt pairing up with Bam in the same lineups. I get very excited by the possibilities there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Spo uses everyone, to be honest. I know, I think it was for the best that we parted ways with Precious, but I will say, I think he played with Bam maybe once, and it was for a couple of minutes. I was kind of surprised that Spo didn't try longer. Yeah, that's a good point too. I'm surprised that Spo didn't try, a few more times to kind of play them together, just because at the end of the day, like, Precious was clearly on his way out anyway, so why not see how that works? I am curious to see how that's going to be staggered. I'm also honestly excited to have Dedmon back. I think that was a huge win for us, for when Bam does need a break, or for when, the second unit needs a little bit of life, because he fit in perfectly.
Now, I think the official re-edition of Haslam happened since the last time I had you on. So where do you fall in the great Haslam debate? Because to me, if he wants to take up a roster spot until he's 75, I'm fine with that. I would advise Mickey to give him a lifetime. I know that that's not allowed by the CBA, but I would give him like a handshake unofficial lifetime contract. Do you have any issue with Udonis Haslam, who's going to play maybe 2.5 minutes this coming season, taking up the 15th roster, or maybe the 16th roster spot, whatever you want to call it?
No, I'm all in on that. I think as long as he wants to return, keep bringing him back. I don't think people understand how much he really helps develop the guys off the court, on the court too, but especially in terms of, like I said, that identity. I think it would have been a huge mistake for him not to come back alongside the likes of Tucker and Morris, because I think those guys are exactly the kind of guys that he likes to have out there just protecting the team. And for anyone who hasn't already listened, I think listening to him on Duncan's pod is super important, because that'll, in a nutshell, tell you the kind of guy he is and what he means to the organization. He's such a mentor to the younger guys. And I think, honestly, Riley's somewhat holding on to him, in my perspective, or in my opinion, to kind of keep that old school culture going, because once he's gone, guys like Jimmy and Bam, they fit into the system really well, but it's a more new school way of thinking. He's kind of that last piece that holds on, from the Riley and Spo, like, glory days. So I say bring him back as long as he wants. I am curious to see if it's going to be beyond this season, but for now, I'm happy about it, and let's go.
One of the things, circling back on the Christmas Day schedule, I get so annoyed with the way the NBA just tries to force the Knicks on everybody, and like they pretend. And listen, I know it's New York, it's the Big Apple, it's the Cathedral, Madison Square Garden, the Mecca. Yeah, I know that whole deal, but still, to me, it's been the NBA's least relevant franchise for like the past 25 years, and they always try to force it down our throats. Do you feel like Allana, and they were also a first-round exit, by the way, as well, the Knicks, so I don't know why they're getting a Christmas Day game. Like, are the Knicks moving the needle again? Like, is the NBA community maybe overhyping the Knicks a bit?
Absolutely. I think it's just one of those things, again, that people are stuck in their ways a lot of the times. To your point earlier with Kawhi, the reason he's above Jimmy, people just see Kawhi a certain way, and it doesn't matter how he's playing or if he's even playing at all. I am not necessarily as big of a Knicks hater as everyone else. I do think, though, that the NBA needs to kind of keep up with the trends a little bit more and really start to look at what teams are relevant. It doesn't mean that they can't be relevant again. It doesn't mean that, Knicks fans don't have a space to sit there and be proud of their team. But I think that it is a little bit strange of, the pedestal that they're being put on still, because that has not been the case and shouldn't be the case in quite some time now.
Well, really good stuff here from Allana Tachauer. You want to make sure you follow on Twitter. Those watching, you can see the handle on the screen. I'll let you guys know for those listening back to it. Allana Tachauer on Twitter. Very, very easy. It's literally her name. Allana, happy belated birthday again to you. Thank you so much for the Heat insight, and enjoy your weekend coming up.
Thank you so much. Great to be on.
Awesome, as always, having Allana on. Really, really good stuff there. And it was, by the way, Manny, I thought this is one of the GOATed comments. Heat Nation equals JG Wentworth. I have a structured settlement, but I need cash now. Call JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. That is a jingle. It's such an earworm. I don't even know the last time I watched one of those commercials. It might have been 5, 10, 15 years. I will never forget that if for any reason I have a structured settlement or an annuity and I need to get all that cash right now. And by the way, this is not a JG Wentworth commercial. They don't sponsor me. They probably should because I do the jingle every now and then. I know exactly who to call because that thing burrows into your head and it stays there until the end of time. I love that. Rick's Knicks love is trending towards Allana. Oh, man, I don't really feel like Allana was giving a whole lot of Knicks love there, if we're being completely honest. So huge thanks to Allana Tachauer for doing awesome work there. JG, they should be paying us. Like, they really should be paying us. Can we get a structured settlement from JG Wentworth? How ironic would that be? JG Wentworth gives us an annuity, and then we call them to get cash now. That would be like a parallel dimension. Couple of notes today from Dolphins practice. Barry Jackson is sending out a lot of nuggets on that. Salvon Ahmed, and one of our commenters pointed this out as well in the chat. Salvon Ahmed caught a 30-yard bomb from Jacoby Brissett, or as the commenter put it, Jacoby Brisket, which would be a pretty good nickname, I think, for a guy named Jacoby Brissett. And if he loves barbecue, it makes even more sense. I don't know if he does or he doesn't. He might be a vegan for all I know. Actually, he's a pretty big boy for a quarterback. Probably not a vegan. But Salvon Ahmed, Barry writes, chunk plays in the passing game remain a thing. Just caught another sideline one from Brissett. Another Javon Holland interception. How about that? That's fourth in 2 weeks of practice. Javon Holland is a dog. He's going to be the steal of this draft. I was looking through a Pro Football. I think it was a Pro Football Talk piece yesterday predicting. Thank you for telling me. Relax, it's preseason. You're not a sports fan if you don't overreact to training camp and preseason. You know, I see people. I saw a tweet the other day that I thought was kind of funny. A Dolphin fan saying, like, how come Miami sports fans always overreact to preseason and to practices? I got news for you, bros. It's not strictly a Miami thing. Didn't we talk last week about how a caller on WFAN in New York, a Jets fan, was already declaring Zach Wilson to be a bust? Through like 4 practices, he was declaring Zach Wilson to be a bust. Let's not think that being impatient and also being overreactionary, good or bad, is just a Miami thing or a Miami Dolphins thing. It's every sports fan. It's every sports fan base on planet Earth. In fact, I would be more worried if your fan base didn't overreact to things. I would be more worried if people didn't talk about their team the way the Dolphins fans do, because that probably means you don't care. And nothing is worse for sports fans than apathy. When sports fans stop caring if the team wins or loses, when sports fans stop going crazy about drop passes in preseason or, anointing guys who catch like 3 40-yard bombs in preseason and have kickoff return touchdowns, the day that fans stop overreacting to that is a day that your team has allowed apathy to set in. I've seen it happen with the Marlins, and I know some people are maybe starting to come back a little bit since Jeffrey Loria no longer owns the team. But there's nothing worse, my friends, than apathy. Any day, I would rather the sports fans care too much than not care at all. So Javon Holland made his 4th interception in 2 weeks of practice. But speaking of interceptions, Tua threw one today. Sound the alarm! Colin Cowherd is going to catch wind of this. He's probably already liked the tweet, and he's ready to talk about it on the herd with Colin Cowherd tomorrow. Tua throws his 6th interception in 15 practices in 11 on 11s. This one was to Isaiah Oliver of the Falcons. So, and Tua, by the way, as Barry Jackson points out, he has thrown far more touchdowns than picks in training camp. So let's not freak out too much, my friends. Maybe I'll go back to that comment. If there's ever a time to say, relax, it's preseason, I think that time might be right now. Something that I will not relax with because I felt a little bit misled, okay? Manny, can you pull up that screenshot that I sent you of the Athlon Sports Miami Hurricanes preview piece. So just to give you a little background on this, I'm looking at the crawl down there. Tua sucks after interception. We had my guy Antoine Staley on yesterday, and one of the outlets that Antoine works for is Athlon Sports. And Antoine, legit, one of my favorite people in the sports business. He is like the nicest dude in the world. I love Antoine, and he watches so many NFL and college games. He breaks down so many different teams. He's really good at his job, but I feel a little misled. So we had Antoine on yesterday. This piece, a preview piece for Miami, was published either late last night or early today after Antoine joined us. And near the end of the interview, Antoine even said to me, by the way, Donno, because he knows I'm a Hurricanes guy, I think Hurricanes fans are going to be a little mad at me because of the prediction that I'm going to make for the Canes season coming up. And I asked him, like, well, what do you have them going? And he said 9-3. And I said, well, bro, I'm not going to be mad at that. 9-3. Like, I've got Miami winning 10 games this coming year, but I'm a homer. So if me, a guy who bleeds orange and green, I should be checked out by a doctor, but me, if I'm picking Miami to win 10 games and a guy like you who's neutral is going 9 games, I can live with that. But he didn't get specific enough, because if Antoine had told me that out of those 3 losses he thinks Miami is going to gather during the regular season, that one of those was going to be against the Florida State Seminoles on the road, I might have thrown hands, okay? So you're looking at this screenshot, and there was a whole, it was 3 different Athlon writers, Antoine included, 2 other jabronis, okay, who were giving game-by-game predictions for Miami. All 3 of them, as you see on top of the graphic, have Miami losing at North Carolina. I can live with that. Miami lost to those guys at home 62-26 last year. I'm not going to be greedy or delusional enough to predict Miami to win that game, right? But you get to at Florida State, guys, give Miami some respect. They've won their last 2 trips to Tallahassee. Florida State's offensive line is literally those cones that they use to separate the regular lanes from the express lanes on I-95 that people are driving over all the time, even though you're not supposed to. Florida State's offensive line is basically, they should be locked up because they're going to get their quarterbacks killed this coming year. They're so bad. Miami's defensive front 7 is going to be eating their lunch. And guys, you may not know this because obviously Miami over the years with Florida State, during the Bobby Bowden era and all that, had a number of gigantic, important games at Doak Campbell Stadium. And Doak, it is a tough place to play. Miami has actually won more games at Doak Campbell Stadium than they've lost. So I don't like this idea of people blindly thinking Miami's going to go into Tallahassee. Are they even going to be full attendance this year? Do we know that for sure? They may say it now, but with this Delta variant and whatever the hell else comes after Delta, who knows? Although it is Florida, so probably it would be full attendance. But no, this idea that you're automatically going to give Florida State, who's an inferior team to Miami, a W against Miami just because it's at Doak Campbell Stadium. They've lost the last 2 in that building to Miami and Doak. Miami has a better win-loss record in Doak than Florida State does against Miami. And Miami is clearly the better team. Guys, I'm not worried about that game. I'm not. Am I going to be nervous before that game because it's Miami-Florida State rivalry game? Sure. But that game doesn't worry me. I think if Miami picks up 3 losses this coming season, one of those is going to be to Bama. One of those is probably going to be to North Carolina. And the other is going to be against one of these coastal teams that always gives Miami trouble. You might lose to Pitt. It's going to be something like that. I don't think Miami is going to lose to Florida State. And I'm really confident about that. And I don't think my issue is one of the Athlon writers picking Miami lose to FSU or 2 of them. It's the fact that it was unanimous. Like it seems like they're overlooking Miami a bit. So I got to tell you, for Antoine's sake, he came on at the right time, because if he had come on the show today instead of yesterday, we would be throwing hands today, my friends. It would not have been a cordial or friendly conversation. So I think the dude lucked out a little bit today with the way that this went down. And De'Ara King I think he's going to have a fantastic year, and I think he's going to absolutely smoke the Florida State Seminoles this coming season. All right, let's go back out to the guest line. we have our dude, the man, the myth, the legend. He is live in last time the Canes won the ACC, asking for a friend. Well, when's the last time Florida State won the ACC? I mean, more recent than Miami, sure, but that team has been dog shit for the last several years. All right, let's go out live to Las Vegas and bring in J-Rod, who's looking good out there. Now, J-Rod, last week I had a guest on who was live in Vegas, and it was Michael Christian. And I don't think Michael left his hotel room except to go to the Summer League games when he's in Las Vegas. And I get it, like Delta variant, I understand that, but still, I think there are still ways to social distance and have some fun in Vegas. And if there's a man who knows how to do that, I think it's J-Rod, who is a Las Vegas pro. So you tell me, sir, since you touched down in Vegas, how have the last couple days gone for you? Oh, you're muted, bro.
There we go. Well, we're off to a good start. They tell me I've had a good time, so I can only rely on the kindness of strangers. Listen, the one thing about being in Vegas, these are mandatory. Any indoor stuff, and we're in the media center, so it's not. So you're in the casinos, you're in at restaurants, everywhere there's a mask, which I don't think is a terrible thing. No, but yesterday I hit one of my favorite places. The Casa de Monte Cristo Cigar Lounge at Caesar's Palace. Oh my God. Smoky treats, cocktails, very nice. And all around good scenery. There was talent everywhere. Let's just not just in the humidor. So it was a good time. So we're at the MGM Grand. We're getting ready for Pacquiao Ugas, which is this Saturday. We're fired up. Interesting situation here. Obviously, this was supposed to be Errol Spence, tore his retina. So all of a sudden, Manny went from being the underdog in this fight to being a almost 4-1 favorite. I mean, you got to lay 370 to get 100 for Manny Pacquiao, but it's for the belt. And I think what's interesting is, Manny. This is for the WBA welterweight belt at 147. This was Manny's belt, and he was stripped by the WBA because he wouldn't defend it. He took like 18 months off, so they had an interim champion, and Yordanis Ugas, the Cuban, who's from Miami, won the belt. So Manny is fighting the guy who essentially has his belt on Saturday night. So listen, we're reaching. We're trying to make some storylines out of this. And of course, is it the last fight for Manny? He's trying to run for the presidency of the Philippines. He's almost 43 years old, and Vegas has been very good to him. So it'll be interesting to see. And Ugas is trying to take down a legend. So a lot of storylines here.
Well, and you mentioned, for Manny Pacquiao, and I would, normally I'm thinking Pacquiao's going to win, but obviously when you're talking about minus 370 or near 4-1 odds, I might be a little hesitant to place that straight bet. And something we love about J-Rod, who hosts 5 Reasons to Bet here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I'm sure you, my friend, have found some value in some props. So is there anything you're looking at for this fight?
Just so happens the crack staff at 5 Reasons to Bet handed me a couple things. You know how much I love to hedge in MMA and boxing. So the great prop that I found is they've broken down this 12 round fight into 3-round sets. So Manny wins in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 9, and 10 to 12. So if you think Manny Pacquiao is going to win this fight, and you don't think it's going to go the distance, this is your prop. If Manny wins between rounds 1 and 3, it pays 15-1. It pays, if he wins 4 through 6, 7-1. If the fight ends 7 through 9, 5-1. If the fight ends 10 through 12, 7-1. So you lay down 25 on each of those bets. You're laying down 100. The worst you can get back, you're going to get a little bit of a profit. And if this thing ends early at 15-1, that's what I'm going to go. Now, if this thing goes the distance, you lose. but if you think Manny's going to end this fight, now I'm going to give you the contrary to that, Alex.
Okay.
Last time, 9 of Manny's last 10 fights have gone the distance. He hasn't knocked the guy out. He hasn't knocked the guy out in 10 years. 2018 was the last time he ended a fight early. He got a 7th round stoppage. So 43, Ugas is Cuban. He's technical. He gives that. Those guys give Manny a fits. He's a Cuban robot from the boxing clinic in Cuba. He can take a punch. It'll be interesting. I think Manny wins this. I think he's going to land maybe 4th or 5th round, but it'll be interesting. It'll be good. It'll be a good time to bet. And if you don't think this fight's going to go the distance, a no to the distance plus 125. So there is some value there. Don't get scared off when you see Manny, minus 370. There's other things you can do to have some fun with it.
I like it. How busy are the streets of Vegas and the bigger casinos? I know it's not the weekend just yet, so it's going to ramp
waiting.
up.
We're waiting. We're waiting. We got here Tuesday night, and it's been, let's put it this way, it was me and the Uber driver. Those are the only people that were in the parking lot. I said, "You good? You good? All right, let's get out of here." It's been quiet. It's steadily coming in. Obviously there's that natural letdown because again, this was supposed to be Errol Spence, and that was supposed to be a mega fight, but it's still a pay-per-view. I think there's still some value in this fight. I think there's some interesting storylines to be made in this fight. And at the end of the day, it's Manny Pacquiao. How is he gonna look at almost 43 years old against a tough guy?
We're joined here by Jim Rodriguez from 5 Reasons to Bet here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Want to get your take on a conversation we were just having before you came on, Jim, and I get very fired up when I'm talking about Canes football. And I think the last time we had you on a couple of weeks ago, you and I both agreed that Miami's going to win around 9 games. You know, if I'm going to be really optimistic, I'm thinking they can win 10, but it's going to be around 9 wins. And even though the staff of Athlon Sports, who just put out a preview game to game for Miami, like my very good friend Antoine Staley, and I hope he's still my good friend because I've spent the last 10 minutes ripping him to shreds. But my very good friend Antoine Staley, he predicted Miami to go 9-3. But what grinds my gears is Antoine, along with the 2 other writers who contributed on that piece, it was a clean sweep. They all have Florida State beating Miami at Doak. And J-Rod, I don't see it, man. I mean, Miami, they've actually won more games than they've lost at Doak historically.
Right.
They've won the last 2 trips there to Doak Campbell Stadium. Miami, to me, is clearly a better team on paper than Florida State. And Florida State's offensive line is an embarrassment. So I just don't see it, man. Do you think Miami's getting disrespected here?
I think Manny Diaz is getting disrespected because we've all seen the last couple of seasons that it doesn't matter the talent the Hurricanes have. They find a way to lose games they're not supposed to lose. Yeah, now, is that coaching? Is that talent? Is it a combination of those things? That's what we need to find out. And I think a lot of that will come to light this year for Manny. But listen, they're clearly the better team. To me, the game that I'm more worried about, if I was a Miami Hurricanes fan, is the North Carolina State game. That has got trap game written all over it. Because number one, NC State's going to be a lot better than people think. And number 2, that is right after the North Carolina game. So they go to Chapel Hill. Let's say they lose that game. Now they got NC. Yeah, because Mackey is Manny's daddy. We know that.
They're still scoring touchdowns again. Like they're running for like 800 yards still against Miami.
So you go to Chapel Hill. Let's say you lose that game. Now you come home. Everybody's spinning their wheels. Everybody's going to want to fire Manny. What's going on? And now you got a very tough NC State team. That's the trap game. Now, can they win at Florida State? Of course. They're clearly a better team. Listen, Florida State's got better. Their quarterback situation is going to be interesting with Mackenzie Milton. If he can be the Mackenzie Milton that he was at UCF. Their offensive line is, yes, Cohen's on the expressway. But their defense is everybody's coming back. I think they're going to be better than, the 3 and 6 from a year ago. But unless Bobby Bowden, there's some serious Bobby Bowden mojo going on. No, they shouldn't lose that game. I still got them at 9-3. I got them losing to Bama, North Carolina, and North Carolina State. I got to lose them to that game. And all hell will break loose when they lose to North Carolina and North Carolina State. Puro panic.
Now, Jim, this is hypothetical, clearly. If Miami were to beat Bama, would you then predict them to run the table?
Let me drink some Kool-Aid. Hang on now.
I hope there's some vodka in there. Bear with me for a second. Bear with me. If Miami, when Miami pulls off the upset and beats Alabama week 1, would you then predict them to run the table, or do you still think they're going to end up losing a trap game or 2? Because honestly, even if they were to beat Bama, I would still think they're going to trip up against like NC State or Pittsburgh or something.
If we go by the Manny Diaz legacy, the Manny Diaz era, this is what will happen. They'll beat Alabama and then they'll lose the next game.
Could be.
Because that's what they do. That's what they do. They lose the games they're supposed to win, and they hang around. Listen, I think we've all seen the memes of the Miami fan fired up. All right, yeah. And then when they're down 21-3 halfway through the first quarter, they look like Pablo Escobar from Narcos, from the Netflix Narcos, sitting on the fence going, well, all right, what are we gonna do? But it's fun. It's fun to talk about, right? It's fun to talk about. It's fun to bet. I'm worried about will Miami cover in that game. That's what I'm worried about.
What is it, around 18? I think
18. I think they'll hang it close, but I think much like a lot of my kryptonite horses, I think Bama will pull away at the end. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And did Tua throw another interception? What's going on? Who gets more hate in this town? Tua or Manny?
Manny, but
yeah, you sure?
Well, here's my logic. I think with Tua, it's about 50-50. With Manny, it's like 80-20 against. That's
right.
Now, I think more people talk about Tua, but when it comes to the Manny, I think it's like 80-20 against or 70-30, where Tua, it's like split down the middle because for every hater he has, he's got a blind disciple, right? So
right. Yeah,
I don't know. Did he throw another interception though?
No, I just said that because when I come out here, well, probably. Has anybody checked on Omar Kelly? How's Omar Kelly doing? Is he okay? Has anybody checked on him?
Well, no. If he throws another interception, Omar Kelly will be better than okay because he enjoys those updates.
It gives something to write about. Yeah. So
listen,
you gonna watch a little preseason football tonight?
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think about it. Who's playing tonight? I will watch.
Pats and the Eagles tonight.
The Pats keep playing on Thursdays, I've noticed, because they played last Thursday. I watched a little bit of that. I'll watch the Pats Eagles tonight, and then of course I'm all in. I'm all in with the Dolphins on Saturday night. I can.
Yeah, we've got the bet for you on 5 reasons to bet. So when that gets posted, that's part of the game we cover. And it's not what you think. We went on a limb on that one.
All right. Well, J-Rod, I always enjoy talking to you, sir. Enjoy your next few nights out there in Vegas. Are you leaving? Indeed. Are you doing like a red eye after the fight? Or are you hanging around for an extra day?
No, we're leaving on Sunday because I got little guys, and Monday, first day of school, Miami-Dade County. So I got to get back for my little guys.
I love it. Well, enjoy the last hurrah before that, man. We'll talk to you later. Enjoy the fight Saturday.
All right, boys. Be good.
Be good, man. Good stuff there from Jim Rodriguez. I'd like to think that if Tua threw another interception, probably someone in the live chat would say that because we've been getting updates on this stuff. And, Big John Stud wrote in the chat, we did mention it earlier, John, but you probably hopped in a little late. So I will reiterate because I understand people may not listen to the whole hour at once consecutively. If you guys missed it, before we got on the air in practice, Lynn Bowden left with an apparent hamstring injury, another wide receiver injury issue for the Dolphins, who have not had a whole lot of luck there here in the preseason. From what I understand, it didn't look so good from Bowden, but it's tough to tell. We're not doctors, if it's a soft tissue injury thing. Hamstrings can be real nagging, so I hope he gets well soon. Like just yesterday, we had no Devontae Parker, no Albert Wilson, no Will Fuller, no Isaiah Ford, and Preston Williams was on the PUP, but he actually came off the PUP. And he's working today. So I guess the Lord giveth one, the Lord taketh away another. It's like you get somebody back, they're gone. What's going on?
Nick Needham was carted to the locker room.
Oh, God.
That was about 5 minutes ago from Travis Wingfield is the one I saw on Twitter first. So
thank you.
He did get off the cart and walked in on his own. He walked into the locker room on his own, but he got
okay. I mean, and anytime, like even if the cart is taken out, that's a bad thing. But I'm glad he was able to walk in on his own. Oh, man, are people speculating what it is? Like lower body? What did it look like?
Said, I haven't seen anything that says what it was. I just saw that and I wanted to throw it out there since we're close.
I'm still all in on joint practices, though. I mean, anything like that is unfortunate. And I don't know, again, I don't know if the Needham thing was contact or not. The Lynn Bowden thing, if we're talking about a hamstring, that's a non-contact. So that could have happened whether you're practicing by yourselves or a joint practice. You had driven away on cart, but did walk off under own power on Nick Needham. So, I don't know if this was the result of physicality from joint practice or if it's just soft tissue injuries that can happen anywhere. But I'm still all in on liking joint practices. This is the second round of these the Dolphins have had. They had 2 of them with the Bears last week, 2 of them with the Falcons this week. Tua was complimentary of joint practices when he spoke to the media. It's just such a better barometer, like the joint practices, because not only are you getting 11 on 11s, You're doing 7-on-7s. You're doing individual drills against players from the other teams. You take a lot more out of that than you do out of preseason games. You know, you can talk about preseason games being, hey, like you actually get to face players in different jerseys and get different looks. But in preseason games, you're rotating in and out so many different people, and it's all 11 on 11. There's no drills in there, obviously. Like I think joint practices to me are more useful than even preseason games. But that sucks, man. The injury bug has taken two today. It's taken a defensive back in Nick Needham. That sounds to me like it might even be more serious. He was carted off the field. And Lynn Bowden earlier in practice left limping off with an apparent hamstring injury. So that's not good. I was reading something on NFL Network this morning where they have tabbed Jalen Waddle to be the Miami Dolphins' most pivotal rookie heading into this season. I think you could have that debate about a few different rookies. You can certainly put Waddle in that conversation, who was the Dolphins' first player taken. Javon Holland, I think, is an absolute nominee for a guy who's going to be the most impactful rookie. And Jalen Phillips. I know Jalen Phillips, they're bringing him along very slowly with injury through training camp and preseason. But I think Jalen Phillips, to me, assuming he's healthy for all or most of the year, his versatility is key. Not only can he be a hellacious pass rusher, but he can also drop in a coverage. He's been playing in a buck linebacker spot when he's been working in practice. Like that's one of the things that I liked about Jalen Phillips compared to Greg Rousseau. And Greg Rousseau, by the way, has looked like a monster so far with the Bills. I was watching him in preseason last week, and the guy looks unblockable. So, I always love to see former Miami Hurricanes doing well. And there's definitely going to be a debate among Dolphin fans like, hey, did we draft the wrong Hurricanes defensive end in the first round because Rousseau was taken after Phillips? I think Phillips, to me, he's more versatile, and I think he's going to be more NFL ready year one. So just hopefully he can stay healthy because I think he's going to be able to do a lot of different things. And I think he's going to fit the Dolphins formation better than Greg Rousseau would have fitted. So I think that they got the right guy. But out of those three choices, we'll put in Javon Holland, Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips. Who do you think is going to be the most pivotal rookie in their first season with the Miami Dolphins? I think the reason why NFL Network went with Jalen Waddle, this is what they wrote: Tua Tagovailoa needs to find his rhythm early in games, which makes Waddle the easy selection here, they say. I don't know if it's that easy. He can handle the catch and run throws that should spring the big play and plant confidence in his quarterback. Waddle is a plus route runner for being a speed guy, so there's no reason why he can't make an immediate impact as a short, intermediate, or deep option. I think the reason why I might go with a Javon Holland before I would go with Jalen Waddle is the Dolphins just have so many options at wide receiver, assuming they're not all hurt, of course. I think Waddle's going to see the field plenty, but his reps may just be a little bit less than a couple of the other rookies. So you're splitting hairs here. I think the Dolphins are blessed with a really promising rookie class, man. So yeah, the NFL Network, they said it was an easy choice to go with Jalen Waddle. I don't think it's that easy. I think either Jalen or Javon Holland deserves a shout for who could be the most impactful rookie. Ryan Sproviero says Jalen Phillips, more opportunity, it seems. I could see that. By the way, before we wrap it up in a couple minutes, I want to send a huge shout out to everyone in the chat. And I love it when people find us. Herman Cueva is on board. He says, my friend Alex Donno, will you be on every day? Yes, sir. We will be on. We are on every day. Herman, I love this dude. I got a chance to meet him in person, several months ago, back when we were still doing the onside radio thing. Sean was working there with me as well. Big O and the gang, we had a draft party at Sports Grill, which was a huge success. And Herman Cueva showed up in person. He actually gave me a jersey for the Honduras national soccer team, which I appreciate. I should have taken a photo because I put that on a few weeks ago, Herman. I'm going to wear it again for you on one of these days for the stream. So, Herman, thank you so much for finding me, my friend. Yeah, we're on every day from 12 until 1 p.m. Big John Stud, huge fan of his when he joins us. David, who's always a mainstay. I love this dude. He's a big Florida Panthers fan and a Miami Dolphins fan as well. Let's see who else has popped in. Ryan, thank you so much. Ninja Viking, who's become a mainstay in the chat. Adam Barai popped in. Cap for Life. I love that dude. Mike Monaco from the Bronx. Thank you for tuning in from the Bronx, sir. Ash Turkop joined in as well. Jesse Lockhart popped in early. So thanks to everyone who made us part of your afternoon today. And yeah, if you're just finding us for the first time, 12 until 1 p.m. every day here on Donno Daily. And make sure when you're in here watching us on YouTube, whether you're watching us live right now or you watch us later on replay, do us a favor and smash the like button. Hit that thumbs up button, my friends, and make sure you have subscribed to the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. It's amazing how much the YouTube channel has grown. Like, just to give you an example, I think we're at least about 800 more YouTube subscribers now versus when I started here doing the daily streams about 3 weeks ago. So I think 800 new followers, and I'm not even going to take credit for that because we've had a whole lot of great Heat stuff on. And thank you so much, Ryan. Enjoying it every day. I appreciate that, my friend. So it just goes to show you how fast the channel is growing, because in the last 3 weeks, we've added like 800 new YouTube subscribers. So make sure you tell your friends, man, if they're interested in Miami Heat, Miami Dolphins, Miami Hurricanes, combat sports. I do the shows usually on Thursday nights. We did one on Tuesday night, 5 rounds with Frank Zaffrey, James Walker, and myself. We are here for you guys on the ever-growing 5 Reasons Sports Network. And next week in the morning, Ethan Skolnick's going to debut a daily stream, and he's going to do, I think, 2 days a week. And Kai Chen Chisholm, my bro, is going to do 3 days a week on that in the morning. So that is going to be awesome. And guys, what makes these shows possible, it's you guys watching and listening, but it's you guys supporting our sponsors, because we have a number of awesome businesses, local and national, and some international, who support us here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And I got to tell you, the timing for our official sports book could not be more perfect. They joined us about 2 weeks ago. BetUS.com, the official sports book of Donno Daily. NFL season is less than a month away. College football season is 2.5 weeks away. This is the time to have some fun and bet on some games, guys. I mean, me personally, I bet all year round. I bet European soccer. I was betting Olympics. I bet pretty much everything, Major League Baseball. But for those of you who wait for football season, this is the time to jump in, man. Go to betus.com, create your account. It's so easy to do. And the customer service every step of the way at betus.com is second to none. That's why they are America's favorite sports book. So log on to BetUS, create your account, and when you make a deposit, it's really easy to do that. You can use a credit card or you can deposit crypto. And either way, guys, we have a hookup. Donno has a hookup for you. When you sign up and make your deposit, use our code 5RSN125. 5RSN125. The reason why 125 is in there is when you sign up with our code, you get a 125% sign-up bonus. That means, for example, if you deposit $100, immediately $125 of free play money appears in your account in addition to your deposit. Like, I deposited $150 a couple weeks ago, $187.50 of free play money on top of that appeared in my account. And I was using that free play money for like 2 weeks. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. They've got NFL odds, PGA, MMA. We have PFL fights tonight at the Hard Rock. You can bet on those. UFC this weekend, Major League Baseball, all that good stuff. BetUS.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. And it is lunchtime for me, my friends. So I'm going to be hopping on over to the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. You want to find the location nearest to you by visiting them on the web, QuarterdeckRestaurants.com. QuarterdeckRestaurants.com. You can peep the menu while you're there as well. I highly recommend the Italian beef sandwich. The seafood, guys, is so fresh. You want sushi, you want to build your own poke bowl, you want oysters and Maine lobster, they have your fix there at the Quarterdeck, and the Quarterdeck is your spot for 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. It never ends. It literally never ends. And it's also your spot, my friends, to watch every UFC pay-per-view fight for zero cover charge. You pay nothing at the door. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. Huge thanks to Allana Tachauer, to J-Rod, to Sean Stanley in the closet with the Don Shula football, to Manny Chang, who's usually walking through the woods during the show. I hope you don't have that beef jerky in your pocket, bro. We don't want to attract any bears out there. Huge thanks to the entire crew. We will be back tomorrow, 12 noon, same time, same place right here on 5 Reasons YouTube. Another episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ciao.